So thank you, and so wonderful to connect for this retreat. I think it will be something very special, and we will understand more of this meaning of Roop Basant, but in English, we were saying staying beautiful, making others beautiful spiritually. And just to create a little bit of a feeling of this topic, there's a couple of quotes, and this quite obvious, but nice to see in ordinary life. It is understood that beauty is not in the face, but beauty is a light in the heart. And that's Gilbert Khalid. And beauty is the experience that gives us a sense of joy and a sense of peace simultaneously. And that was Rollo May. I think that is nice. Sometimes we focus on the qualities of the soul, but often beauty is it is a quality of the soul, and it encompasses many qualities at the same time. So I hope translation is all working. Feel free to write in the chat any questions as we go along. And I'm going to hand over now to Prashant. So welcome.
Thank you, and hello, and good evening from here, and maybe good afternoon in some places. Well, let us start with a few moments of silence. One way the word Roop is translated is with the meaning of yoga, becoming an embodiment. So let us first come and experience that inner greatness of the soul. As always, we start with the best sight and the best intellect. And this allows the soul to become conscious. Paras environment. And when the soul is conscious, the proof that he is conscious, we are seeing the perspective from beyond. For the soul that is conscious, it is normal to be that presence, invisible presence. It is normal to be independent from the story. It is normal to be immortal. Just one step of using the best intellect, and we are seeing things in a like rediscovering the self to start with. And we are seeing the physical world for what it is. So invisible soul, he sees himself as an invisible player involved with this world. Thank you. So most of us, we have been through the other sessions, and so it is nice to build on what we have already understood. As was said, the word Roop is at least a poetic way of understanding this is beautiful. Literal translation, Roop just means face, but implied beautiful face. And Basant, that word is for a season, but a poetic meaning, one who showers beauty on others, makes others beautiful. That is the way we are using it. And It is such a beautiful life of the one who is beautiful and making others beautiful. We are seeing that true beauty is at another level. Inner beauty, the soul that is conscious, is naturally beautiful, immensely beautiful. God, the one description of God is He is the beautiful one, the name for Him. As we move away from the soul and get into our greater alloy and get eclipsed, then the other things come, and then we need to pretend to be nice and pretend to be virtuous. One request I want to make request. I want to encourage the more to come in the camera, but also less movements. When you are moving, keep the camera, come in without camera, but encouragement for more people to come in the camera and take part. Like it is an opportunity for us to interact and involve ourselves fully. So here I will be using the board today. And also encouragement for you to type your comments, questions. You all are familiar with the ideas by now. So one image that we use quite often.
Just need to change the orientation of the board on the screen. It thinks it's portrait right now.
Okay.
Just tilt the iPad until you make it landscape. Basant's enjoying technology. Yes. Well done.
Yes, the famous image we like to remind ourselves. And I'm sure you have got this image in your main room. That's what we mentioned in the past. We want to remind ourselves of this because Maya wants us to forget this. So we are seeing that there is the home, and there is the family of souls, and there is the true self, something we have seen. And we are given this extraordinary physical world. We are passing through this physical world. Our normal state is of beauty. Each and every one is beautiful. Our starting position is such. Because the moment you know you are the soul that is immortal, there is no reason for him to experience anything else than natural love and happiness. But we also saw that at some point we cross this dotted line. Dotted line the line of ignorance. And it is extraordinary. In spite of knowing, you will find you are approaching this physical world with the importance and value and bondage that is unnecessary. So this eternal soul finds himself in this physical world, and he's busy, all his time he's busy creating bondages in this physical world. Bondage to people, position, possessions in different ways. But the ridiculous side of this, we are ruled by these bondages. In that state of bondage, we are giving birth to the ego. And this is the life, that is for Copper Age, Iron Age, our life is life of the ego. Ego is representing us. Ego is taking decisions for us. So anytime when the language I is used, someone says, I am going here, when you think of yourselves, not just a passport when they show you, but you mean that when the word I is used, you are meaning the bodily being, the role. And that is so deep and it has become natural. In spite of knowledge. And what is the problem of this I? I is based on something that is unpredictable, something that is temporary, and so forever in subconscious panic. That is the life of the I. It has got everything to go. Death is, not that, okay, that I am soul. No, for the I, he has to avoid by any means loss. And this mind with subconscious panic, he will not just sit there with panic. He becomes an active beggar, begging for love, begging for respect, begging for position, begging for company. It is forever. As long as this I is there, there is begging. Begging cannot be stopped. It is like a beggar mindset is inbuilt. And as long as this I is there, he feels he's a potential victim. That is the reason we want to highlight this situation with this image helps us understand this. So the psychology of an ordinary person is the psychology of the beggar and psychology of the victim. In the victim, what do we mean by this? Something breaks, someone even says some word, he can give me sorrow, I'm the victim. Now, this is the mind 24/7. Whole life we are dealing with this mind of a beggar and mind of a victim. Beggar is not just who is begging. Begging comes with the syndrome. He is actively, want something. If he doesn't get, he will be unhappy. He's comparing. He will be envious sometimes, or he will be arrogant sometimes. Beggar comes with that syndrome of the beggar personality. And victim, is busy looking at the dangers, all possible dangers. If a bird sits in a garden, a small bird, he will be all the time looking left and right and up and down because he's potential victim. looking for all possible dangers. The ego is like that. He's looking for dangers. And in the process, he ends up collecting all the negative thoughts and negative impressions. He's hardwired for that. If there are 10 things going right in your life, one going wrong, he will be picking up that wrong thing. He will remember it. He has to address it. He thinks about it, talks about it. And that's why mind gravitates to the negative. If there's a false I there. Most people try to address this insecurity of the ego and his subconscious panic by feeding the I more. He wants more praise and bigger hat and bigger job. And what happens? The ego just gets bigger. And bigger the ego, then bigger is the beggar, and bigger, more negative he is. He feels more of a victim. See the lifeline of all the dictators in history. They just become more miserable in themselves and create misery in others. Now, one way this presents our, this life, he pretends to be nice. He learns how to fake. That he thinks is becoming virtuous. Such is the life. This is the society we are living in, where inside there is all this going on, beggar and helplessly selfish. It is not just one eye. We sometimes have this false eye. No, we are talking, this is the life of everyone from copper age, iron age. Unless we are changing something in a serious way, during those minutes it is different. But life is false. Underneath, we are helplessly selfish when we are in this false identity, because it is insecure. It feels it is a victim. One who is in the victim personality, he genuinely cannot think of others. So that is good for us to know the backdrop. We say we have the option, an option of something very beautiful. Option of the soul waking up. It is almost like the angel waking up. Let us just quickly touch this theory part, and then we'll come into practical. So in theory, if the soul was to wake up, soul waking up is very, very distinct. Say a person wakes up from a dream, his world changes. Waking up is not a small little thing, meditation. Not, everything changes. He discovers his true family, and he discovers when he was dreaming, he was in a different world. When he was asleep, it was shut down. That reality was shut down. When he wakes up, he discovers this. Something similar happens. Soul waking up is not a small thing. We may be using that language very often and appears as if just a nice meditation or commentary. But soul waking up, he discovers his independence from the story. Just as when you wake up, you understand that dream was completely separate. It is different and your world is different. Same happens for the soul that is awake. Independence from the story, that includes Prashant is part of that story. And he sees he is independent from that role, from that body. To be free from the story is a big news, because once you are the observer of the story, it means you are free from vice. 100% of the vices that human beings have, they are connected with this box. 100% of our sorrows are connected with this box. Even for 1 minute, you are able to see perspective from beyond. You are seeing life where there is zero vice and zero sorrow during those seconds, during those minutes. And then game changes completely. If there is zero desperation, zero sorrow, zero ego, during those minutes, you are discovering that those identities appear absurd because you are seeing it as a story. And then something else follows. So if you want to say anything, and it will be nice to hear, we'll come into some experiment, some practice.
So while others are reflecting and putting in the chat, feels like we need to have tolerance of not just ambiguity, because when we learn, it's useful to be tolerant of the things we don't totally grasp. We need to be tolerant of the absurdity that whilst we know the soul is immortal, there's no need for any inauspicious feeling. This habit is nevertheless quite established of begging, and we need to be able to manage the ridiculousness in a way of this ego track. But that's what came up, and also being aware of the danger of mimicking artificial spiritual beauty. And this is not the destination, and it's not even a step. Yes, so there's some thoughts from here.
Yeah, that's excellent. So during these minutes, let us create some experience. And we remain prepared for the radical shift. We are using the language waking up. There is a huge difference between someone who is asleep and waking up. So always we start with the posture which is comfortable. We understand the great value of the best intellect. Recently in the Murlis, Baba used the word broad intellect, unlimited intellect. When we use the word paras, paras includes the unlimited intellect, paras includes the subtle intellect. That's why it can see clearly what we have shown on that sketch. It can see the bigger map in an obvious way. With this sight and with this intellect, we are seeing the alaukic dimension, world beyond the physical, unearthly. Nice word for alaukic. And in this, we are seeing the alaukic family of souls, the alaukic home. It is natural for the one with the paras. Here is his true home. It is in the image of the sky, sure. And the true family, they are in the image of stars in the sky, living stars. This is the world of eternity, timeless. In this environment, the invisible soul wakes up. He sees himself as an invisible presence. For him, it appears normal to be that presence over the image of a tiny point. Appears natural. It appears normal to be immortal. It appears normal to belong to that sky. For this invisible soul, it appears normal to belong to that big family, family of souls. All belong to this family. It appears normal not to need anything for his existence. He needs nothing from anywhere. It appears normal to be content. And he also sees the physical world for what it is. It is so obvious and normal. It is temporary for everyone. It appears normal that it is a performance, a drama performance. So obvious for him that it is separate from everyone, independent, and that he is independent from that story world. The invisible soul understands that there is a great story, great performance, but he is independent from that. He is very fond of his world. He has no intention to go in that story world and claim anything or own anything. He doesn't want to get stuck in that story world. He's sensible, not childish. And so naturally he remains aware of his world and is very fond of his world, very fond of his true family, and very fond of his true father. All alaukic, but for the one with paras, it is natural and normal. as we continue on our journey in the sky and on earth, we remain aware of this beautiful truth of the invisible soul and his world, alokik world. Thank you. I'm asking, how was your concentration? Who had more than 90% concentration? Your way of saying, yeah, very good. When we use the right intellect, many things become easy. We have used in the past the patthar intellect, that is like a stone intellect. So when we use the stone intellect, many things, the spiritual matters, our practice is difficult. When we use paras, it becomes easiest of the easy. Fun. You are able to see things in a different way, in a more natural. Our aim is not just visualization. It shouldn't be just thoughts, just empty words, but the experience of it becomes easy when we start with paras. We'll get chance, we'll have the opportunity to come back to it again. It will gather momentum. But any other thoughts? Do you want to add anything or any comments?
Couple of questions. One question: the vices only come. Do the vices only come in connection to the story? When we are connected to the story, is it because of our loss of power that brings the vices?
Yeah, no, good question. I know we have seen this in this world. We have shown today also that this world is unpredictable and this world is temporary. It comes with the labels and it comes with the label unpredictable. And the moment we give birth or create any level of bondage within this, that is represented by this, any kind of bondage we create in this, it just makes us insecure. We can lose things. Just like children can come to your house, create attachment to something, and they cry when it is time to go. They cry because they lose a person or they lose some object and they don't want to go. It is a bit like that, unnecessary sorrow. But as we saw just now, it also makes us selfish. When I'm in this sorrow and this, some kind of a loss, insecure, then we are into selfishness. All of that creates this whole department of desires and desperations. We start creating attachments and ego. All of this, and our vices are all connected with desires and desperations. So vices and just the body consciousness, this whole department, 100% of it, 100% of our sorrows, 100% of the vices, 100% of ego are connected with this. If I have a wrong attitude towards it, I get all of it. And this is what the impurity is. The beautiful thing about the invisible soul, invisible traveler, he has a different attitude. That's what changes things. He is a guest and he has zero bondage. He needs nothing from there. So when he has that attitude, then this world cannot give him sorrow. So vices are secondary to our desires and bondages. Let me know if the subject is clear.
Yes, a follow-up question. Does it mean that unless and until you can see yourself as independent from the story, you are not using the parasintellect?
That's true, but each second you are using parasintellect, it helps you. You are able to see things clearly. And just as if you are even acting in some story, acting in a drama, you understand in a common sense. You are Freddy. You are just acting as a king in this little drama, children's drama for 1 hour, and you will come back home. You know the independence, your independence from the drama. Same happens. Paras just means complete common sense, where there is no confusion, and you are seeing on a bigger scale. That is the difference. This drama is a bigger drama. Other drama, you may be acting maybe for half an hour. This drama is of thousands of years. And that's why you need this intellect that can handle this scale, unlimited intellect, broad intellect, and not be deceived by the drama just because it is so convincing and so sophisticated. Pattar is defeated in the first round. Just one song is enough. Someone singing, I love you, then is out of the ring. But you need strong paras to protect yourselves from the song, and the cakes.
Question that came a little earlier. What is the role of the ego in the larger scheme of things? Is it to make the drama more interesting or challenging for the soul?
Sure. In fact, then when you are not having the ego here, false identities, when you are without ego, your life is most interesting. Every second you feel is so rich and so beautiful. You are appreciating your sky, you are also appreciating the physical world when ego is not there. Ego is a product of ignorance. Just like an illness, when there is an illness and a person gets some bacteria, it is there because things are not right. You want to remove those bacteria, remove the parasites, then you become healthy. Same way here. Ego is a parasite. And as we saw here, the only thing it does, take sorrow, give sorrow. It is like a beggar mentality and victim mentality. Small ego, big ego, they are all there as a product of illness. We said you have to cross the line. So there is a darkness required, darkness of ignorance for the ego to take birth and ego to get bigger.
Thank you. I hope it helps. So there aren't any other questions right this moment. Just a comment that it is very liberating to see the true self independent from the role and all that is happening to the part on the stage.
Nice. Now, one beautiful truth about the soul that is conscious, he is immortal. Maybe all hear of it, but try and get a feel of it. It is like we need to make our intellect grapple with this. This tiny point here right now, this tiny point is soul, is immortal. And he exists forever without needing anything. He has no needs nothing from anywhere. He doesn't need air, doesn't need water, doesn't need body. It doesn't, the need is not there. There is no desperation. He doesn't need the drama. He's not a beggar. He needs nothing from anywhere for his existence. Starting position is this. Now, if any person has less needs, he is more powerful. If someone increases his needs, he becomes dependent on more things. Like, say, a drug addict. He's dependent and he's slave to the drug. If that drug is not there, he will be unhappy. But same applies to us. If I feel I need a company, then he's less powerful. You need certain place, certain position, then certain kind of food, and that makes you less powerful. More you reduce the needs, you become powerful at a physical level. Someone like Gandhi, first thing he did was made his life simple, reduced things, just very, very simple. What is minimum required for his survival? Literally, eating the simplest food, making it simple. And then it is a step to make himself more powerful. But here we are going to another level. We are seeing the soul. Physical level is also, of course, our unlimited process includes limited also. So if someone takes steps to reduce physically, the needs, that is part of it. But then the soul waking up, and the awake soul says he has got his world. It is eternal world, and he has got his own home. He needs nothing from anywhere. Zero needs. Second thing he understands, that he is beyond harm. Nothing in the three worlds can harm him. Like, for example, in this world, there can be terrorists, and there can be fire, and there can be floods. Soul is not harmed, even the slightest. Take the other position of the ego. Ego will feel, he's all the time the victim. You may just say a word, he will see it as a danger for him. It might harm him. He might take sorrow from it. So that is the life of the ego. He is all the time the potential victim. Whereas the soul who is conscious, never a beggar, never a victim, even the slightest. So in this universe, there are black holes and some planets can collide with Earth and some asteroid can come. The soul knows that nothing can harm him, even the slightest. As we said, fire and terrorist, the words are less likely to harm him. Both these realizations are extremely powerful for anyone. If you come in the meaning of it, significance of it, and come in the experience, the soul is conscious. And when he's conscious, he is seeing this, that he is without needs and he is so safe, so secure. Now, these two realizations brings about a flip. Flip means if there is a coin, one side there is head, one side tail. Coin, one side may be red, other side is pink or blue. So you either get red or you get blue. You either get head or tail. Something similar happens here. Anyone, someone doesn't need to do even 7 days course. If he plays with these two words, try and get a feel of the soul who needs nothing from anywhere. We can experiment, create a few minutes, and he is beyond harm. Things can come, go, but he remains the same. You go on the other side, flip, and when you are on that other side of the flip, there is nothing inauspicious in your mind. So soul who is on that flip, one is he feels secure, of course, but everything appears fun. Let me give an example. You are walking, in the evening, and suddenly someone points a gun at you. Gun, it is a little bit of a danger for you. Gun is there, sort of, you feel a bit frightened maybe. And then you see that it is a child with a toy gun. Then what is your reaction? The moment you realize that you are safe and this is not going to harm you, you are beyond harm, then that gun appears like a toy, and the whole experience becomes fun. And there is sweetness. You are seeing the child and sweetness. You smile and laugh. It doesn't just another experience, but it becomes a joke. Something similar happens in our life. The moment you realize that nothing can harm you, it becomes like a nice roller coaster experience. It's fun. Why people go, especially pay money and go on a roller coaster? For fun. It appears like there is a danger, but at the same time, they know they are beyond harm. One friend of ours from here, Cambridge, she went to London Dungeon. It is a bit like a roller coaster. I have not been there, but she took some children, friends, and she went to the London Dungeon. And she said, we screamed and screamed all the time, but we had a great time. So they have to pay and they go into this London Dungeon. And we screamed and screamed. We had a great time. And then later she said, she was observing. She said, I enjoyed it because I knew I'm safe. Deep inside, she knew that this is fun. At the end of it, she will be okay. That's why she said, I asked, would you go again? She said, yes. So you have to pay for it to go into the experience, and happy to go through that experience again. Roller coaster has got that element. what was on one side appeared like a danger. Another person might, some old man, you take him to a London dungeon and he doesn't know what is going on. He doesn't feel it is secure. He doesn't know what is going to happen next. It will not be fun for him. It might be a total, torture, the whole experience. He will say, never again, don't take me there again. The difference is just in this, which side of the flip you are in. If you are in one side of the flip, then you are or seeing, am I feeling safe here? Something else going on. Here you come in this flip, and literally I might use the word fun for this. It is a flip where there is security, where there is nothing inauspicious. Everything appears like a celebration. Everything appears like enjoyment. Whole as it comes. And then we said within this is black holes and black fox and whatever that comes. You are understanding. Nothing can harm you. You are still free to take steps. You are doing whatever. We will, we will act. If fox comes, we might close the door. Whatever that is needs to be done, you will do it. But at the same time, internally, you are secure and operating from that energy of fun. This is like a biggest luxury we all have the option to experience. Just as this girl goes all the way to London to experience this for 5 minutes and spends quite happy to spend 4 hours in the process just to go there. Here we got a extraordinary roller coaster here. All that is required is another consciousness. You come in that space and you are seeing this moment here, things happening and things come, go. Whether you see it or not, most of the time we are approaching this world with our inner insecurity. We are sort of suddenly, some flood comes, danger comes, terrorist comes. In the back of the mind, you are saying, is this a danger? Is it serious? Am I safe? Am I going to be harmed? That is going on, in our ordinary flip. And we have the option to shift it to other side. And shift happens just with these two words, or reminders. We all are happy, soul, and we all possibly are experimenting with soul consciousness. But within that, underlining this, soul means he needs nothing. And he exists forever without needing anything. So where is this beggar, and this going on all the time? And let me become free from that beggar for 1 second. And nothing can harm me. So why this huge defense mechanism, protecting myself from this so many things? You become free from both of these, and that mind is different. Sometimes an image is used. Say there is a glass of milk, and in this glass of milk, if there is even one drop of dirt, it is not a milk you can use. One drop of poison, it becomes poison. A glass of milk without any poison, you get milk. At present, when we are in that one flip, there is one drop of something, There is beggar and victim. They are constantly, beggar is seeing emptiness. That beggar mindset all the time feels he needs something, he's empty. And that is one drop of poison. And the victim picks up something might happen, someone might do something wrong. He is all the time looking for something negative. We have the option to give ourselves a break, break from this beggars, victims, and slaves inside, and come on this side. The beautiful soul, the beautiful mind has necessarily to be free from beggar, slave, and the victim. That in this mind, you are seeing the noble you. You are seeing the fullness and the wonder. You want to add anything, say anything, and then we will come to the experiment, experience of this.
This subject feels essential to grasp, to really practice and experience the beauty of the soul. A couple of clarifying questions. Does the soul not need a body to express and experience, or do you mean that the soul will still survive without a body? I mean, you've clarified it, but if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, what we are emphasizing here, the desperation that exists. First let us know the starting position. I'm quite happy to use a table that is here, and I'm quite happy to use a cushion that is here, and very happy to use it, and very happy to use a cricket bat also tomorrow. But do I need any of these things? Answer is no. I can survive without a cricket bat. I can survive without that cushion, without that table. So it is good for us to know the starting position. The soul who is conscious, he knows that he needs nothing for his existence. Very happy to use the body, and very happy to use the cricket bat also, and very happy to use many things in this amazing physical world. But when you are approaching with that strength, I don't need, and then you are dealing with it, it becomes a gift, and it becomes a great experience. That things come and go, you are very happy. You are not approaching it with the energy of Ravan, the desperation, and you are not going to cling to it. You are not going to cry because of it. Things come and go. It is a bit like that.
Okay, I hope it helps. Thank you. So when you say the soul is beyond harm, but we also understand that alloy does enter the soul, and so there are good and bad sanskaras in the soul. So how does that tally with the soul being beyond harm?
Yes. We are coming to discover these good sanskars. And these good sanskars, they are with the truth. More we come in the truth about ourselves, that promotes the good sanskars. The same soul, when he enters into darkness, when he crosses the line, that it brings up the different sanskars. So here our aim is to come in the truth. We said in a coin, one side is one flip, other side is other. In the same way, we are here bringing light and truth. And let us see what are the starting sanskars. And the starting sanskars are noble. And we have the option to experience these sanskars.
We also say that the so-called bad sanskaras are the beggar sanskaras that are bad because it is not acknowledging the immortal truth of the soul being beyond harm. So that is what is bad, is the ignorance that's in the soul.
Yeah, excellent.
One comment was that a relatively new student say that since understanding this knowledge, there is a lot of enjoyment of life, actually even to the point of feeling overwhelming, and can't choose a job because they all seem fun. Can't choose a city to live in also. So maybe if you have any comments about it, that.
All our practices need to take it to the, if it is right practice, if we come to the, we all are practicing, trying, but when you come to the accurate practice, then you also have a very clear mission. It is not can't decide. No, we got a very clear mission. We said Roop Basant. You have one part of it is becoming beautiful, but other part is making the world beautiful. And once you have a mission, that helps you to take decisions, very clear decisions.
Yes, thank you. That's very grounding and completes the circle. So that helps. No other questions at the moment.
Yeah, excellent. So let us come to the experience of what we spoke, and very useful for us to see the image like this. In this practice, we see this body as a car and the soul as a driver. These eyes are like the windows of this car. We are seeing with wonder that this tiny point, the soul, seated behind his eyes, he is making sense of the images and colors. It is not the eyes. Eyes are not making sense of it. Eyes are not even seeing it. One who is seeing all this is this invisible driver seated behind the eyes. We are seeing with amazement that this invisible driver is also making sense of the words that he hears. And that he exists in that tiny point in the presence. He is the experiencer. And he is also making sense of the sensations of the body. We are seeing the wonder that this extremely tiny point, he is experiencing all this. And all that we are doing, we are shining light on this soul. Ordinarily, it was not even conscious. We want to make him conscious that he exists. So what happens when he is not conscious? When he is not conscious, ego becomes conscious. And as was said, ego is the product of ignorance. Ego not only is conscious, he takes decisions and he rules the life from that ignorance. That's why we want to remove that rule of ego and make this angelic soul the king, make him conscious. This invisible driver, he also realizes, he knows that he is a guest in this car. He's a driver, but he does not belong to this car. He does not belong to this physical world either. He is the invisible guest. He's conscious driver. He knows about the truth. He knows his world beyond. He's an invisible guest here, but he is the invisible prince in his world. He is the eternal prince, belongs to the King of Kings. He belongs to that eternal home and the most noble family of souls. All this always exists. All that has happened is conscious to experience all this. When he is not conscious, this whole dimension is shut down. Prince exists, the King of Kings exists, world of love exists, world of bliss exists, world of immortality exists. But the prince has to be conscious. The conscious soul also is able to see the physical world for what it is. Of course, it is temporary, but it is not a problem. He knows it is a temporary experience. No one wants to be in a story forever. No one wants to be in a roller coaster forever. Or a circus. Don't want to be in a circus eternally. But the invisible prince understands this great truth. All-round truth is beautiful and perfect. He knows that he is immortal and his world is eternally safe. His home is safe. Relations are safe. Relations with the family of souls, relations with the Supreme Father and Friend, they are eternal, always existed, and always will exist. this sweet bond with God will exist forever and always existed. Just the prince need to remain conscious to see it. When he is not conscious, ego is so caught in the story, he ignores this truth completely. The invisible prince knows that he himself is beyond harm. The story cannot harm anyone, even the slightest. Many things happen in a story, but story is always harmless. Just as you may watch a film, but film is harmless. There can be horror film, but still it is harmless. And you are beyond harm in an absolute way. Same here, the invisible soul knows he is beyond harm and he is free from needs, ignorant of the word desire. He cannot use things from the story even. They are all nice and they are wonderful, but he doesn't need them. They are all nice temporary associations, experiences. Never a beggar, never a victim, not even the slightest. That's why noble, invisible soul is noble, innate personality. He feels, he knows he's full. He got the best. Best home, best father, the great family. And he himself, his nature is of bliss and love. He knows everyone in this world, everyone in this family. They are all princes, eternal princes. They all are loved by the King of Kings. They all are worthy to belong to this great family and great Father. All are lovely, loving, and lucky. All that we are doing, we are just seeing this truth. The soul is seeing this truth of everyone. But as we do this, this attention is like light, like shining light. And in the world where there is darkness, light brings magic. It empowers them. And it is the most necessary help at the present time, where the souls who are not conscious. It is this light that has power to make them conscious. And help them discover their beauty and their greatness and their truth. Thank you. I know there will be time for group discussions in the rooms.
So before that, I thought we could just ask a quick poll question, and meanwhile, Prashant can think about a good reflective question for rooms. So on your screen, hopefully you'll see translators may need to translate. How many Sanjeevani sessions have you listened to? Could be live or recordings. It's just useful for us to know if the language is familiar on this session. So there's first is all 10 sessions, second between 7 and 9, and then neither of the above. It's the third option. Leave another 10 seconds. Meanwhile, Prashant can share in a moment the reflective question for rooms. Okay, so we'll thank everyone who managed to participate. If not, you can write in the chat if you wish, and I'll just share the results so everyone can see. Thank you very much. So Prashant, what would be a nice angle to pick up on for this discussion now?
To discover how to discover the true beauty.
Okay. Just putting it in the chat, which may help. And we've set up rooms with the different languages, but if you find yourself in the wrong room, there should be the option to change yourself, but if not, you can press help and we'll attempt to relocate you. And so enjoy, and we'll have between 10-15 minutes. So see you very soon. Well, welcome back to everybody. I hope that you arrived safely. We like these rooms, they're very low maintenance. So we're going to invite you to join in some very quiet moment together while we just reflect perhaps on what was important, and we'll continue after a minute of silence. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you. Even if there is no outer silence, it's still helpful to think of this silence of the soul. And I found myself thinking about what was mentioned, that most of the time we are approaching this world with our inner insecurity. So in this clear dissection of ego that is always somehow wanting to take something from this drama, whether it be a sense of self-respect or self-worth on whatever we're doing or the role is associated with. And that soul means inherently is not of this world, doesn't even need this drama. So how even grasping this is something to can be processed, but this practice to start new and start fresh from that clean slate and fresh view, rather than trying to work with the old intellect and the imperfect and the not beautiful. This ego wants us to keep that department going, but it's so nice to be reminded that we can start from the beautiful, from the full, from the perfect, from the empowered and the already clear yoga with the fresh start. It seems to be very liberating. So I enjoy this method of seeing the picture and coming back and topping up on that side. And it'd be lovely to hear what came up in your discussions, if anything, realizations or comments, questions. And handing back to Basant at this point. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And yes, please feel free to type your any comments, questions. What we have seen so far in our discussion, we got this extraordinary gift here, and it is possible, just our confusion can spoil it all. Just like a child may be given a wonderful toy, but if the child is confused, instead of playing with the toy, instead of enjoying the toy, the child is busy breaking the toy. And it is possible few children, they are running with the broken piece of the toy or fighting for the broken piece. We are literally something like that. When the consciousness drops, it's a huge drop. Something that is meant as an extraordinary gift all around. The soul that is conscious, he understands he is lucky without all this physical world. He has his own world and his great family, father. He himself is wonder. He is experiencing this. And the physical world as it is, just right. It is a bit like you are shown a park. It is just right. The point is not to go and break things and run with some broken piece of the park. Just that experience is a rich experience. When you come home, you got your home, supreme home. Such is our truth. When anyone realizes that he is secure, safe, and he is lucky, if these feelings come on top of not needing anything and you are beyond harm, and on top of it you are lucky and you are safe, this brings out the whole personality that is authentic in virtue. We want to be beautiful, but it has to be authentic. It is not, we said earlier, ego he's busy. He can get a Oscar for his action. So here we are busy, to be seen as good, to be seen as nice and loving, and so much effort goes in that. When one is awake, he knows what it means to be good. He doesn't need to pretend. He knows the experience. He knows that everyone is lovely, full stop. He doesn't need to go sing a song, and tell, I love you, I love you. He loves, and he knows the richness of this. And in this, on the contrary, is too much, expression or this words may spoil it even. It brings some cheapness within it. Also, it is not at one level. It is everyone is lovely, and everyone belongs to you. When the basics are that you are experiencing love and happiness and contentment, then combination of these presents with different virtues. All our different virtues are combinations of this and expressions of this. You want to add anything, say anything?
I think there aren't any other comments, but I'm sure that they will come, Tim.
We'll create some time to come in the experience again. From different angle, come to that. Experience the wonder of the soul. The different images and sketches that were drawn, they help us understand this map, Paras map, and this environment also helps the soul to be conscious. And when we are talking about soul consciousness, it is distinctly separate, independent of Prashant consciousness. Now there is Prashant perspective and there is a soul perspective. And they are different. What we think is Prashant perspective, Prashant, I'm using the name, and for each one of you, you got your perspective. That is essentially the ego perspective. It is based on the story. And it is very stubborn, and it is not something we can easily let go. But even for 1 minute, few minutes, it is good to pay attention. And we are seeing the soul perspective. And soul knows his complete independence from the story. He's not mixing it. He doesn't say, I'm soul, soul, and also mixing it with the role. He doesn't say, I'm soul, but also Prashant. During these minutes, we are seeing complete independence. Soul exists when Prashant won't be there. Prashant will not be there, but soul will be there. Soul existed even before Prashant came on the stage. So if it exists without Prashant, so the details in between, why should they be so serious? We are literally seeing the independence of the soul from this whole story. We are not mixing it. When we mix it, body consciousness wins, ego wins. And now the soul is able to see the wonder of the self and wonder of everyone else. He understands that everyone is noble. They all are people of light. They look like stars. That is just a reference. Star is a reference. But we are aware of this noble personality of everyone. They all are immortal. They all are desireless, egoless, harmless, sorrowless. Childlike. They are innocent. When anyone is so secure and beyond harm, nothing can harm him, even the slightest. He can afford to be innocent. These immortal souls, they are like the Father, innocent lords. That's why childlike and godlike. All of this makes them immensely beautiful. They are childlike in this innocence. At the same time, they are godlike in wisdom. Their life is of silent celebration. If everything is good, everyone is good, life is celebration. But in this celebration, they are also immensely useful to others because they are shining light in this truth, this dimension of truth. All they have done, they made themselves conscious. And once they are conscious, they are seeing this extraordinary truth of everyone. So they are creating light in this dimension. Ordinarily, attention of everyone is in the story. Their light is shining on the story. Whereas for you, your attention is, at least during these minutes, your attention is on the alokik truth, the world beyond the story. If within you there is conviction, you are seeing this with obvious conviction, clarity, and concentration, then the light will reach far. Light will be stronger. Baba uses the expression lighthouse. If the soul that is conscious is staying with this experience, and in his clarity is important. We are dealing with the darkness of ignorance of the world. So the awake soul stays in clarity, conviction, and is very sure about this whole dimension, lives in it, and there is concentration. Then this attention that you are giving, that is what the light is, it will have results. It will awaken others. That is the easiest way to give the maximum benefit to others. Most of the world is trying to do good, but they are working in the story, trying to improve the temporary story. Because that is what the ego wants. Ego wants to change the story. Whereas in you are helping the unconscious prince to become conscious. You are helping the eternal prince to become conscious. And your strength is you got light of truth. Every minute you are doing this, congratulate yourselves, because it is victory, all round victory. You win, others win. If you create 2 minutes, that is bonus. But every minute we are creating time in this dimension. You are Roop Basant. It is beauty, but not superficial. It is something that is at a deep level. Truth is, everyone is beautiful. All that we are doing, bringing light. In the light, then they can experience their own beautiful truth. Thank you. I want to ask if we are watching the transmission, it will be nice if it is possible.
Yes.
To hear some thoughts from Madhuban.
Is there time for a quick question beforehand?
Sure.
It's definitely something that's come up before, but just to maybe refresh, how can we distinguish if what we have understood as the soul be conscious is not just an ego in disguise? So you mentioned earlier about intensity in the drama, but anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. In the word ego that we use, the false identity, it's a problem when it is based on something that is temporary. Then only it brings all this energy of beggar and the victim. When you are basing things, even your attachments are to things that are eternal, they are okay. Like, for example, souls, they are your family. You can use the word my to this, and there is no problem. Father, you have right there. It is you, he's your father, it is your home, and it is eternally yours. And when anything is eternally yours, we see it as truth. When something temporarily is coming, going, then I can't use the word my there or create a bondage. It gives sorrow. So we do have an image, we do use the word identity, but we want to have identity based on what is eternal. We don't use the word ego for that. We call it soul consciousness. In our language, we don't use the word ego. We use the word ego for the false identity.
I like that answer because somehow it feels very natural, because the urge is there to want to create or to have a sense of belonging, but when it's something that is eternal, then that it is in line with truth. So if any other thoughts, questions come up, feel free to put them in the chat. We can always take them up tomorrow or by email. So shall we create time now for the drill?
Sure.
But maybe a question, is there anything that you think would be nice for us to collectively reflect on before we meet again?
That's the contrast between these two personalities. We are worth taking a paper, draw some of the sketches, and try and grasp how this noble personality will manifest, and what happens to this beggar and victim. They are not just theory, but you can sort of see how the beggar, its manifestations, different manifestations in you, in others, and how that can be replaced with noble. It helps to experience, but also you understand the process. So to see the contrast, we learn through contrast also.
I think writing is such a beautiful way to consolidate. So I just put in the chat the understanding of this homework. So look forward to this sharing tomorrow from you. So we'll have a few minutes of a drill from Madhaban and connect again tomorrow evening.
Happy Bab Dada. Consider कराने चाहते हैं. एक सेकंड में शांति की शक्ति स्वरूप बन जाओ. एकाग्र बुद्धि एकाग्र मन सारे दिन में एक सेकंड बीच बीच में निकाल अभ्यास करो. साइलेंस का संकल्प किया और स्वरूप हुआ. आवश्यक